An okay but incomplete ending. That's how I would best describe the ending of Attack on Titan. Of course, a lot of people have different thoughts on it. Some people think it's the best ever. Some people think it was absolutely awful. But for me personally, it was just okay. It definitely wasn't as bad as Game of Thrones like a lot of people are making it out to be. I think in the grand scheme of things, a lot of things in this chapter still made sense. It was just that we needed a lot more information to really flesh out the story. I feel like even if people really enjoyed this ending, they would agree that the story could have used more context and information. And that's really what it is, because there were a lot of motives and explanations revealed in this chapter, but too much of it is still left up to interpretation. But let's break it down from the top. We start the chapter off with Armin and Eren in their kid forms, which honestly kind of confused me at first. I was like, what the hell is going on? For a second there, I thought I missed a chapter, or there were some panels missing or something, because all of a sudden jumping to Kid, Eren, and Armin didn't make sense to me. But I guess it was through the founding Titans' powers that they had this conversation before, and off the bat we're getting an explanation of what exactly Eren was trying to accomplish. And as soon as this was revealed, I knew it was gonna divide a lot of people, because one of the biggest debates was, did Eren Yeager actually change? Did it make sense? Did it not make sense? So depending on how you felt about that, that was definitely gonna dictate how you felt about Eren's perspective. For me personally, I felt like it made sense for Eren to go into this full beast mode and just demolish the rest of the world for the sake of freedom and his friends. It was just that it was a bit extreme. Like at a certain point, he just kind of became brain dead and didn't really look at the consequences of what he was actually doing, where it became less of protecting Paradise and his friends, because some of them were literally dying because of what he was doing. And in this chapter, we find out that Eren actually did all this because he wanted to be the bad guy that everybody defeated, so they would be put up as heroes. Now honestly, when I first read this part, I did not like it, because it's really not that great of a plan to try to make your friends the heroes while massacring the rest of the world. Like, the sacrifice there isn't really paying off for the reward. Like, even if you wanted to go this route, you didn't have to go this extreme to accomplish what you wanted. And it kind of ties to what Armin says in the beginning of the chapter, where he's like, hey, I get you saw the future and everything, but why did you have to like knee me so hard and hit me so hard? So yeah, at first I really didn't like this part, but it does get more fleshed out later on, and pretty much it just comes down to what exactly Eren has been seeing ever since he touched Historia's hand. So this does clear up a lot of where Eren's motivations came from, but also introduces and heavily puts an emphasis on the idea of fate and how it can't be changed, and I feel like that really wasn't fleshed out enough in this chapter for it to make sense for Eren's actions. But besides that, we do get more information specifically to Ymir. This was something I was wondering a lot based off of last chapter. Why exactly was Ymir chilling behind Mikasa? What exactly is that spine thing, and how do its powers work? And well, the major information we got in this chapter was that Ymir, for the past 2,000 years, somehow, for some reason, still loved King Fritz. The person that did not treat her well at all, literally abused her and did terrible things to her. For some reason, she was completely loyal to him because she loved him, and that's the reason why the Titan powers have continued to exist and why Ymir has listened to the Fritz bloodline. Now, the idea that Ymir is actually in love with King Fritz, that idea in itself is kind of trash. But at the same time, I wouldn't say it's something completely unrealistic if you look at it from a very dark perspective. So I think Isayama using it here does still fit within the story, and I don't really think he's trying to promote this in any way. As a matter of fact, he's kind of trying to go against it by saying that this was the toxic relationship that caused all this Titan destruction over the past 2,000 years. So I can totally see why some people have issues with that, but I still think it makes sense within the story. But this explanation was a huge reveal, because not only did it reveal why the Titan powers have continued to exist, but it also revealed what exactly Eren saw in the future. Because this whole time, Ymir has been unable to break free from this toxic relationship with the Fritz bloodline until Eren came through. And of course, we saw this when Eren and Zeke were fighting over Ymir's powers, and contrary to what has happened in the past 2,000 years, Ymir actually ended up following Eren instead of Zeke, who actually has the Fritz bloodline. And at that time, Eren had said, "You've been waiting for this one person for the past 2,000 years to finally set you free," and we thought that was Eren because he was gonna go and destroy the world and get rid of everybody else that is not an Eldian. But the truth is, she was actually waiting for Mikasa this whole time. Now this once again is another major twist. I don't think many people saw this coming, but essentially the person Ymir was actually waiting for was Mikasa, because Mikasa would be the one to break free of her own toxic relationship and kill Eren to show Ymir that it's possible to break free of toxic relationships. Now listen, I definitely get the connection here, right? Because Mikasa and her love for Eren, it's not as bad as King Fritz and Ymir, obviously, but it was still pretty one-sided. Mikasa, the entire show, was just showing die-hard loyalty to Eren, no matter who she was up against. But of course, last chapter, she finally went up against that love and decided to kill Eren because he was doing too much damage. So the connection there I could totally see, but the fact that the only way for Ymir to break free was to see Mikasa kill Eren after he massacred 80% of the world, and that was the only way for her to break free and let go of the Titan powers, I feel like that's kinda random, to be honest. Some people even think Mikasa killed Ymir from last chapter when she showed up behind her. I personally don't think that happened, but you can't confirm or deny it because it's all left up to interpretation. So honestly, this whole explanation about how Ymir was set free by Mikasa's choices, I feel like the execution was just not well done. Like, there's definitely some connection there, but it's just not fleshed out enough and it's not executed very well, and honestly it feels incomplete. And that's the biggest flaw of this chapter in my opinion, is just that some of these aspects are just not fleshed out enough. Going back to Eren's motivations and how he saw this future and just decided to follow through with it, I feel like it makes sense to some extent, but again, there's some things added in there that just doesn't quite make a lot of sense. I think it makes sense if you're trying to portray this tragic story of Eren, who's always trying to seek freedom but in the end was a slave for this future destiny. It also makes sense that he had so much going on in his head that he was mostly incoherent, so he couldn't really think for himself and act right. And even the end result of the Titan powers going away because of what he did and Mikasa making her choice, I think that makes sense for his character as well, because he didn't want this endless cycle of Titan powers being transferred like what they were saying they wanted to do with Historia. So him making himself the villain just to get rid of the Titan powers, I feel like that was a decision that he could have made. But the random bit that was added in this chapter was somehow he guided the Dyna Titan away from Bertholdt because Bertholdt couldn't die yet, and as a result he killed his own mom. Now some people are interpreting this as him purposely killing his own mom, which I don't think is true, but it did bring up a lot of funny questions of him asking Reiner why exactly my mom had to die. But yeah, this bit was just kind of weird to me because it kind of showed that he could change some actions if he wanted to. So like, if that was the case, was there really no other options? Why was this the only way? And maybe the answer for that is he became dead set on this future where he would get rid of the Titan powers because of his choices, and 80% of the world would be gone, so there wouldn't be any major problems for the Eldians. So if that was the perspective and Eren became completely dead set on this goal and he became this emotionless, ruthless person, I think that would make sense as well. But then in this chapter, he kind of bounces out of that and then just kind of randomly confesses his love for Mikasa. Now, I don't think him liking Mikasa is that out of question. Like, they've been friends for a long time. I feel like he definitely cares for her, so it's not impossible that he likes her. But I will say this explanation in general just feels kind of weird. You go from this explanation of everything he's been going through, and then all of a sudden Armin just punches him in the face because he kind of snapped out of it. But he doesn't punch him in the face for the fact that he killed countless people or the fact that many of their friends died because of what he did. He punches him in the face because he hurt Mikasa and bullied her. And then of course you jump into this confession from Eren, which again, I don't think it's impossible he likes Mikasa, but for him to be like, I don't want to see her be with anybody else, it just feels a little out of character. And honestly, I feel like that moment might have just been a little catering to help please the fans. And overall, the result of what happens in this ending, I feel like Isayama wanted to bring some wholesomeness to the fans. So in the end, we get some inconsistencies because he's trying to kind of balance what makes sense within the story and this wholesome, happy ending. Like, a lot of people wanted Eren to just fully become the villain and become dead set on destroying the rest of the world so the Eldians could survive. And low-key in this chapter, Eren does say he would have acted how he did even if he did not know the future. But instead, he did see the future and saw the possibility of the Titan powers disappearing from this world, and that became his new motivation. And of course, over time, he definitely struggled to come to terms with that, him crying in front of that little boy because of all the things that he was gonna do in the future. So I feel like in the end, some things are definitely inconsistent, but it still makes sense to what Eren was trying to do. But yeah, pretty much all of this is revealed from a memory that Eren actually altered before. Turns out the last time that he met with everybody where he told them the only thing we could do is fight, he actually didn't only say that. He actually gave them the full breakdown of why he's actually doing certain things, but eventually he just altered those memories so their actions wouldn't change, but they would remember them after everything was over. So of course now everything is over, Eren's now dead, the Titan powers are no more, and everybody remembers and they're crying and thanking him. And again, I feel like some things here do feel forced, but Isayama wanted to go the happy endings route, and this is what it came out to. And honestly, once everybody came back, some of the best moments in the chapter happened for me. The Levi chapter where he saw everybody from the scouts before and he puts his hand on his chest, that was great. The Sasha moment with Jean and Connie, that was really touching, I definitely teared up. And even the Gabby and Falco reunion, that was really adorable and cute, and I really liked that as well. And honestly, I feel like Isayama going for the happy ending here might not be the best choice in terms of story and staying consistent, but he decided to go the happy endings route and hit us in the feels with the characters he's built up throughout the entire story. And for me, those moments did really hit, so I really enjoyed it. But after this though, it really speeds up. We jump right into a 3-year time skip. Historia now just chilling with her family. Turns out that pregnancy wasn't a big deal at all, which I'm really not mad at. I'm more so disappointed that she really wasn't involved at all in the final arc. But yeah, the ending here kind of comes very quickly and very abrupt. I feel like it's kind of incomplete again. We find out Paradise is going into war again. Pretty much the Jaegerists have taken over and want to just fight against the world. So war is still happening, just without the Titan powers, but the hopeful side is that the people that took down Eren, the main characters, the main cast, they're now trying to negotiate peace between the two sides. And then the story ends with Mikasa chilling by the grave of Eren, and then the scarf gets brought up again and this bird flies off into the distance. It's kind of weird to me, not gonna lie. But yeah, these final pages do feel a little quick. It does feel like we could use one more chapter to really flesh things out. But every great story, of course, is gonna keep you wanting more. There's never gonna be a perfect ending for everybody. Of course, some people have definitely overhyped this and we're gonna be disappointed regardless. But for me personally, I feel like there were some really rushed moments, some really big inconsistencies, but overall, going with the happy ending, I'm not mad at it. So the ending for Attack on Titan, I don't think it perfectly stuck the landing, but I'm okay with it. Overall, it's still one of my favorite stories and I will definitely be rereading it very soon. But I'm definitely interested on all your thoughts on the ending of Attack on Titan, so let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like for the YouTube algorithm and make sure you're subscribed as well to not miss any future uploads. Check me out on Twitter as well at I'm DZach, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!